This video is sponsored by Tall Man Toys and Comics.
Jesus Christ is
Behold,
King.
I
You're
stand
not
at the
wrong.
door.
You are 100%
and
right.
If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him.
I will personally.
People always ask me, what is the worst animated film of all time? For me, it's Food Fight, but for others, it's the Emoji Movie. I mean, how can it not be? This is not only the worst animated film of all time, this is one of the worst films, period. The second that this film was announced, it was nothing but scorn and ridiculed. I remember seeing the teaser trailer in front of the Lego Batman movie thinking, no, that's not real. That's not fucking real. That's not real. But nope, it exists. We were getting a movie back then called the Emoji Movie. And do not get me wrong, this movie is bad. Really, really bad, and one of the worst that I've seen in a long time. Its concept is poorly wasted, the characters are plain, the world is stupid, the advertisements are all over the nose, and the soundtrack, although fine for the time, is really dated. However, I kept thinking to myself, this movie could have worked. I know that sounds weird going into this movie because, and don't get me wrong, this movie is awful, everybody's already talked about it, and the movie deserves a lot of hate that it's getting right now. But while rewatching this movie, I kind of kept thinking to myself, how can I fix it? Or let me put it this way, guys. Imagine yourself as a filmmaker, and a very famous producer tells you to make an Emoji Movie. How would you make it? How would you make it your own? Though personally, for those who don't have movie experience, y'all would have been confused as hell. Well, for someone who has been trying to get into film for a while, I think it's about time I would put my take on this story or concept. But here's what I decided to do. I'm going to give you guys some concepts and ideas of how I would have made the Emoji Movie better. So, it may not all be perfect, but if I was in this situation, how would I fix the Emoji Movie? Well, let me tell you guys, this is how I would have made the Emoji Movie. Let's start with the main character. I'm going to change the movie's main character up. Instead of Gene being the main character, I would rather make, and this is going to sound weird, Poop Emoji or Jailbreak one of the main characters. Because both main characters had the potential to tell a heartfelt message depending on how you tell the story. The movie, one of them would be the main characters going on a quest to discover themselves and to prove that they are more than just an emotion. Both would definitely be an improvement on Meh. The only thing good about Meh was that he was voiced by the incomparable T.J. Miller. But then again, this movie has a really big cast, so that doesn't really shock me at all. The side characters. Let's take out High Five Emoji and replace him with either Devil, Vomit, or Middle Finger Emoji. Now, I know technically Middle Finger and Vomit Emoji don't have an appearance in this. At least from what after watching the movie, I don't know, I didn't see. But all three of these characters at least had the potential to be funny comic relief characters. There are so many jokes and ideas and pop culture references and so many puns you can do with these characters. And not to mention, now celebrity-wise, I don't know what would be a good cast for them, but I would rather use one of them rather than High Five. High Five wasn't the worst character in the movie, but he was kind of the most annoying. But then again, I would have used one of those three characters as my comic reliefs or side characters. The villain. Okay, so personally, I would keep the villain the same. But I think the problem with the villain in the movie is that the movie barely does anything with her. Well, they do, but they don't make her interesting or dark. If you're gonna make a villain like this, make her dark, make her malicious, make her satirical, make her, and maybe instead of deleting the app, she can destroy the phone herself or destroy all humanity or something like that. Something a little bit darker and stronger, because the villain just seemed kind of weak. Except the fact that she's voiced by Maya Rudolph, which, well, that's saying something. That's how I would make it. I would make her dark, malicious, and more satirical, instead of what she is in the movie. If you make her just a normal generic villain with no purpose or no character trait, That's when your movie goes falling down very slowly until it hits the ground. The Humans. Not really much I can do with The Humans except maybe change the ending around, because the ending for it was pretty lame, so I'll just leave it at that. The Advertisements. The Advertisements is a little bit harder because, especially with the fact that this movie is about emoticons. I was really shocked of how much advertisement went into this film. So what would I do with the advertisements? Well, let me explain. The advertisements in this movie are not really relevant to the plot, but if I were to put them in this movie, or the ones that would be more important, I would have put Facebook, YouTube, and Dropbox, because those apps at least have the potential to use some sort of satire and some sort of relevance to the plot. You can do creative stuff with it. You can do something with it. It's just the other stuff like Twitter and the other stuff just doesn't really seem to add a point. The moral. While the basic moral of just being yourself is not a bad moral, it doesn't help the characters grow or develop the characters, nor is it very engaging. I would have focused more on a moral that's more character growth or something that the kids would understand when watching this movie. Much like The Humans, not really much here to add here, but it is very important to add something different with this. And the last thing to do is to make it for adults. Remember how most parts of this video I keep mentioning stuff like satire and satirical? Well, if you really think about it, the Emoji Movie could be a really good satire movie. This could have been a parody of animated kids' films where the inanimate objects come to life. The same could be done with the Emoji Movie. Make it a social commentary on today's uses of smartphones and social media, and you could still do the hero's journey with the main character, because Gene going on a quest to make himself unhappy for the rest of his life is already unique in itself. That it comes off as parody-like. You can also exploit the limited capabilities that emojis have. You can have South Park and Family Guy type humor with characters each trying to get through their life with their limited disabilities. And guys, if you really think about this, kids don't really use cell phones. I mean, I'm sure their parents will let them, and sometimes they'll use them in school from the teachers, but most of the time they don't own cell phones, because that's what this movie's catering to, the young kids. And the adults and the teens, mostly in high school or in college, would relate more to the film. Personally, if I were a director, that's exactly how I would make this film. And that is how I would have made the Emoji Movie. Now, if you do like this movie, I understand. Opinions are opinions, and I won't be too biased. Just don't expect a lot of people having the same opinion as yours. So what did you guys think of my take on the Emoji Movie? Comment below, let me know. What is your opinion on the movie itself? Let's talk in the comments.